Here we are again with another film I've been following for the past few years. I've seen all the controversy and all the debate surrounding it, we've covered it numerous times on Geek News Reviews and Opinions, and I even had my own worries about the film going in, given that it's coming to us from a director who's best known for giving us the fantasy expansion module for the Kristen Stewart Blank Stare simulator. Not to mention that Hollywood doesn't have the greatest track record for adapting animated films into live action, even when the original animated films and series were made in the United States. So, has history repeated itself? Well, kinda. Full disclosure, I'm not that familiar with either the Mamoru Oshii animated film nor the original comic series by Masamune Shirow. I always try to avoid looking at the source material for movies like this, since I feel that an adaptation needs to be able to stand on its own. And for the most part, it does. However, what we actually have standing is simply a bland sci-fi action film that doesn't expect its audience to fully grasp the story it's telling. The biggest problem is that it just often tells you what a character is feeling or thinking, but doesn't actually show it. Moreover, it repeatedly tries to turn the subtext into text. While it's not nearly as insulting as other sci-fi films that I've seen that claim to be smart, it does take away from a great deal of the dramatic weight. As for the film's visual style, I would best describe it as noisy. By that, I mean that it kind of bombards you with so many different things to look at on screen. For the most part, it feels like an intentional choice, showing us a modern, bustling cyberpunk city. But at other times, it feels like there were just a bunch of bells and whistles added to a scene where it wasn't warranted, most notably with the number of arbitrary slow-mo shots. Speaking of which, there are a few other visual sequences that come across as pretty, but pointless. It was almost like they were lifted from the comic or the animated film simply by virtue of putting something in the film that is similar to the source material. Either that, or they were put in as a flag for the audience as if to say, "Notice my directing!" That's not to say that the film is completely without merit. There are some moments and ideas that actually worked. For example, I can commend the film for not only acknowledging the whitewashing of Asian characters, but actually turning it into a fairly compelling plot point that reinforces the film's themes. On top of that, there were moments where we got to explore some of the idiosyncrasies of the world we're being shown, such as the debate of staying fully human versus augmenting your body to make your life that much easier. The problem is that these moments are few and far between as the film tries to speed you along through numerous set pieces and pseudo-philosophical dialogue. It's kind of like the film wants to be Blade Runner, but just as a straightforward sci-fi action film without any of the psychological thriller elements. If they wanted the story to have more weight and impact, it needed to take its time to show the world and characters and actually meditate on its themes more than what few moments we get. To me, it communicates that there may have been a great deal of executive meddling to make the film shorter and more action-packed so that a mainstream audience doesn't get bored. The problem is that in doing so, they simply made the whole film boring as a result. As someone who's never seen nor read Ghost in the Shell, it just comes across as a bland sci-fi action film that pretends to be smarter than it actually is. It has a few moments and a few good ideas, but not enough to warrant paying full ticket price. It's not the worst film in the world, but it's not going to be blowing anyone away either. It's really just a 1 hour, 42-minute exercise in mediocrity. All of that said, Ghost in the Shell gets a 3 out of 5. So that's it for this episode of Romney's Reviews. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time.